I should have been very happy the day I realized my psoriasis symptoms were finally gone. I should have been. After all, I'd had it for 14 years. 14 years of dry, flaky skin. 14 years of itching, irritation, and occasional bleeding. 14 years of arranging my life around the embarrassment and self-consciousness of knowing that people were staring at me. 14 long years. Now my skin was clear, unblemished. Hadn't itched for nearly a year, yet I was angry. Angry that my psoriasis was gone? That all that misery was over? Yes. Well, okay, let me clarify. I was delighted it was gone, of course. But I was angry at how long I had suffered before finally finding out how to get rid of it. Angry that I had undergone years of creams, ointments, treatments, and therapies, none of which had truly helped me, all of which had disappointed me in the end. What infuriated me most, though, was the discovery that the solution for psoriasis was both simple and already known to certain people. I'd been through so many treatments, suffered so many false hopes, endured so much discomfort and unhappiness. All because I'd believed that if I tried as many remedies as possible, I'd eventually stumble on one that actually worked. Which turned out not to be true. I played the numbers game, and I lost. I'd given up in the end, as so many people with my condition end up doing. And instead, I'd endured the embarrassment, the physical discomfort, and the practical day-to-day frustrations of a person whose every waking moment was controlled, consciously or subconsciously, by a condition that I thought I'd never be rid of. The embarrassment of psoriasis. In all those years, I had developed a dozen ways of building my life around my psoriasis. A dozen ways of trying to make the condition not matter to me anymore. Which, of course, failed. Because my psoriasis always mattered. Because it always did something to my life whether I wanted it to or not. As a child and then a teenager, we're naturally self-conscious about our looks, about how people think of us, about what people say about us. They say you grow out of that self-consciousness. As you get older, you get wiser and are less concerned with other people's opinions. That's probably true, unless you have psoriasis. Because the thing with any noticeable skin condition is that every single day someone notices you for the first time. A cashier at the supermarket, a passing policeman, a new work colleague, a relative's friend, just a person walking past me on the street. I know instantly that they've noticed me, and I know exactly what they've noticed about me. Of course, polite people do their best to show they haven't noticed that your skin is flared or scaly and dry. Others, though, are far less worried about how their actions distress you. They stare, and when they did, I knew exactly what they were staring at. It was humiliating, but also intensely frustrating. "Can't you just not look?" I'd scream at them, but only in my mind. At times, the itching was unbearable. I didn't much enjoy meeting new people. And as you might expect, I was extremely anxious about new romantic relationships. I'm actually not bad looking, and I'm outgoing, educated, well-read. So reasonably attractive to the opposite sex. But I struggled to even speak to someone I liked. No matter what they did, I always thought, they're looking at that dry patch on the side of my scalp. They spotted the red skin on my arm. They're wondering if it's contagious. They're turned off by my appearance. Well-meaning friends advised me to ignore it. Think positive thoughts. Don't assume people are thinking about your skin condition. But the sheer effort of pretending none of this was happening, that everything was just normal, was itself exhausting. Sometimes I didn't bother pretending. When the condition was covering more than half my body, it became impossible to hide, especially in summer. I never stopped wishing I could just grow out of it. I was well into adulthood before I realized it just doesn't work that way. Psoriasis even affected the jobs I could do. My condition flared up from time to time, making me red and blotchy. Sometimes my skin would bleed and I wouldn't even notice it. So I certainly didn't want customer-facing roles. I once stayed in a horrible company. There was bullying, discrimination, and a really toxic atmosphere because I simply couldn't face the embarrassment of going to job interviews. The thought of being on display filled me with dread. Even in the firm I now work for, which I absolutely love, my skin condition made me reluctant to seek promotion. Because as I became more senior, I knew I'd have to meet other people in our company, and they'd see the scaly skin and the red blotches that made up my appearance. That's changed now that my psoriasis is gone. My career is healthier than it's ever been, but my condition held me back for years, costing me relationships, and Psoriasis is not an inevitability. Click the order link below and you can own a copy of Julissa's Psoriasis Strategy in about 90 seconds. And then you have taken step 1 on the short journey to clean, clear, itch-free skin. The remedy for psoriasis makes sense. We already know that psoriasis has a strong genetic influence, and yet only some people with a genetic bias for psoriasis actually get the condition. The key trigger for psoriasis is our personal environment, our diet, frame of mind, chemicals, and household products. These 3 elements are long known to medicine as influencers on our immune system and health. Modern medicine has evidenced this beyond even an ounce of doubt. And it's all too easy to trigger a condition you don't want, especially if the gene for that condition is present. Triggers in our environment create the immune system dysfunction that gives rise to runaway inflammation, and then to psoriasis. What happens if you remove those triggers? You've removed the conditions in which psoriasis thrives. You've taken away its entire reason to exist, its ability to exist, and replaced it with the life you've always wanted but thought you could never have. Click the order link below and tackle your psoriasis triggers for the clear, comfortable skin you crave. You're unlikely to grow out of your psoriasis anytime soon, if ever. It'll go if you act. It'll stay if you don't. I suffered for 14 years. I'd still be suffering now if I hadn't stumbled on Julissa's Psoriasis Strategy and acted on it. It's not known if long-term psoriasis becomes incurable. You'll have to suffer for many years to find that out. Whatever the future holds, you can choose for it to be riddled with the misery of an embarrassing, life-denying, and deeply uncomfortable condition. Or you can choose for it to be clear-skinned, comfortable, psoriasis-free. It all hinges on your decision right now. The psoriasis strategy worked for me, and it worked for hundreds of others, with all the different variations of the affliction. Results are guaranteed. Can you lose? Of course. You can lose psoriasis. I would never have suffered this for 14 years if I'd been offered Julissa's strategy after the first month. I wouldn't have done that to myself. You're here because you've had enough of this condition. So get rid of it now and step into the life you thought you could never have. You're 90 seconds away. Click the order